And here we go. Both players opting. Oh no, I missed the switch for Dsitt. We've got bombs in the sanctuary. That's a great find. Probably going to route Dsitt right over to the Kakariko village. While Rupees in Link's house is not a bad find at this stage of the game either. But we're going to see him head up and probably play a little bit of catch with the guards with the bushes so he can do these tree pulls. Oh, and that is solid. An 8 drop on that first level tree pull. That is going to be great benefit this early in the run while they wait for a sword or perhaps even an early hammer. Oh, and I don't have the eyes that these runners have for those slim margins on that lumberjack drop, so he sneaks in, and I'm not sure how he's feeling because I'm not quite sure what was there. Sydarial's going to overload on bombs at the sanctuary now. Chat confirming arrows on Lumberjack as we get the power glove in the forest drop. That is likely to get picked up by Sydarial very shortly. And indeed, Dominion Rod, it is so bad. Shout outs to the Savage Brothers. Just arrows from the Hoarder. Leaving those lying about. And Sydarial probably breathing the sigh of relief to have at least Aga not confirmed yet, but not out of the picture completely. We still got some items to find. So far, Blind just hoarding love and money. Seems like a thing. Oh, and a flute! As Sydarial picks up. Oh, and the bow! Alright, Blind's Hut is packing. We're going to see an early swag duck, but we've got the audio from the other guy. He'll be getting there in short order, too. But yeah, these are some very vanilla early items. Not necessarily in their vanilla locations, but things you get early in the vanilla game. And so we're probably going to see a couple of moves that remind us of the way you'd normally play this. The well coming up a bit empty, Sydarial pulls his flute. And we're getting a silent swag duck. Here on Dsitt as Sydarial finds the bow. Oh, and I suppose I missed the cape. Oh, missing the chicken clip, but that's alright. Obviously having no real effect on the run except for making it look a little cooler. Right, the cape coming out of the well there. Dsitt gonna stock up on bombs. Not a bad move. Still waiting on a permanent weapon. Get your swag ducks in the chat. We've got an early appearance of him. But of course that just means we're going to be seeing a whole lot of him. our favorite foul. To confirm for chat, this is in fact an 0-3 match. Each of these guys hoping to stave off elimination. So we just have a quiver upgrade at the race game, which means both of our runners are likely to end their route just as Dsitt did here. Finally spawning at the house for the first time to pick up his 50 rupees. Oh, and clarify what I said about elimination. I meant is eliminated only from the possibility of making it out of this stage. They will continue to play in this Swiss round. But Dsitt not having the pull charge there. Sydarial gonna make the damn play. While Dsitt looks to be making a run for escape. That's a solid move this early. You got the bow, you'd wish to have a sword. But he's packing bombs too, so it won't be so bad. We're going to see Sydarial go for that second shield upgrade, and I think that's a pretty good move. Some runners eschew the shield altogether, but if you can get to that fireball shield this early, you're going to have an easier time in your blind fight if you need to, and even just in a couple of key rooms in Ganon's tower. Both of our runners putting our bows to work. Different ways. Sydarial's gonna opt for bombs instead. With an ice rod in our mini Moldorm cave. Very nice, and we do expect Dsitt will be getting that shortly. As he continues his way down to Zelda's cell. Remember to use your hashtag things in Zelda's chest. What do you think will be there? Got a heart, a hammer, boots. It's a moon pearl. Oh my. Sydarial's gonna have to be careful with these Octoroks. Mostly just cash in the back of Sahasrahla. Alright, we got 5 on Eastern, 2 on Hera, and I think a pendant at Desert. This Dsitt also opts for that red shield. Now, Sid's got an interesting choice here, and I'm sure he's capable of it, but these dark rooms here would be a sequence break. It's one I think a lot of runners in this tournament do opt to make, but depending on just how good the latter parts of Eastern Palace are, this may send him on something of a goose chase. As Dsitt makes back some of his bombs on this Moldarm cave. But the Moldarms are having none of it. Oh my. Oh, with just half a heart here, he's got to finish this carefully. Yeah, that is an ironic spot for hookshot. So we get an ice rod for Dsitt, but we knew that was there. Bottle here in Eastern, that could send him back over to Sick Kid soon, if not certainly at some point. And we're seeing Dsitt make a play that I don't think Sydarial made out to the ice cave. And just bombs for the walk. But without that sword yet, Sid makes his way through those dark rooms. Having the hook shot is definitely nice, being able to get across that room in one swoop. And a convenient fairy drop there with a vanilla big key for Sid. Having counted his items carefully, Sid is going to continue into the dark, face Armos. Dsitt has set up his fake flipper and going for Hobo. Just for a little bit of love. Oh, do you hear Sid has picked up that key, but oh, he's taking some damage. He's in trouble. He's gonna run back for the fairy. I don't blame him. And just grabbing it quickly with that hook shot. I always thought that was just a bit of a morbid scene. So it's looking like right now, in progression, as the bottle was before the dark rooms, that you're meant to go to Sick Kid. What you find there, I'm unsure. But also available is what Dsitt continues to, the very back of Escape. He gets the key and a sword and the mirror. Oh man. We are just a lantern away. Oh wait, we have the flute. We don't need the lantern. Death Mountain. Hera would seem to be the play now. We're seeing Dsitt attempt a dark final chest for Escape, having picked up that key. And I will admit, I did not count well enough to know if he's only in for a map or something. Taking advantage of the puddle there. Sydarial has made his way to the Armos, peppering them with the arrows. and as clean of a fight as you can hope to get. Getting that compass, meaning we have the map was in the big chest. And so to completely dodge Aghanim, we have a question in chat. We need the hammer or the other mitts, because we do have the Moon Pearl available. Dsitt having to be careful down to his one heart, as we're going to see that sick kid check from Sid. $100, hey. Call it a copay, I guess. And to be honest with you, without the sound, I'm not sure if he got there. A lot of items don't show up in the dark. I guess we'll find out soon enough. Green Male has a sword from Escape, which Sid is on his way to. On our tracker, calling that it was rupees. Good call, Blessed. And I believe Dsitt working on getting his old man. Though I'll admit I did not see to where he fluted. Sid passing up that dark room. Someone in chat asking about a fake flippers glitch. It's a minor glitch, legal in these runs. If you line up a screen transition with the same frame as you land in the water without the flippers, the order in which those things are checked leads to a situation where you're allowed to stay in the water essentially until you get back out again. There is a sort of extra step on it that a lot of runners will do called the Jesus Walk. You need the Moon Pearl or the boots to set that up. And basically, by going in and out of doors, you end up in a state where everything is a floor, even the water. We may yet see that from our runners. Alright. Both of our players picking up some old man love, keeping the heart score even. And the cabbage is kind of working on the other part of that too, trying to get each of our runners down to 3 health. And succeeding. Shout out to our Sky Cabbage. Settling the score. Sandslice pointing out an important part of the fake flippers glitch in the randomizer. You will die instantly with one hit. That is better than the soft lock in the vanilla game, though. And Moon Pearl was at Zelda's chest. And we see Sid's gonna opt for that spectacle item, or spectacle rock item. Leave the heart contain. Yeah, this early in the run, and seeing how stingy some of the seats have been, good call in my book. As Dsitt has made his way to Hera, having gotten the big key from the basement, he's gonna check this back chest, and really hope he doesn't need the basement. He picks up the book. Again, we're just picking up all sorts of early game loadout stuff. The only really special items are the flute and the cape in terms of a low % progression. Oh, I suppose the hook shot on Sid's side too. That's kind of a big deal, as he sends it over to East Death Mountain. And a lamp! For Sydarial. Coming out of Paradox Cave. Cash money. The powder. Very nice. Alright, and that's a pretty decent Paradox Cave. Need that lamp, obviously, to get around a little easier. And a nice bomb jump from Sid, not wanting to have to take this thing from the top. As Dsitt is working on his Moldorm fight. You have the fighter sword, you're reminded just how long this used to take as a kid. Moldorm is dead and gives up the last item in that dungeon. Dsitt's gonna be relieved he doesn't need to make the trip to the basement. Not to mention having the ferry is just a nice security item as Sid has made the long walk through Spiral Cave, putting that hookshot to work for a big bomb bag. Gonna see a check of this ether tablet. Of course, lacking Master Sword cannot retrieve the item. Oh, just 3 bombs, so he'll check that off his list. Alright, Dsitt is going to make that Eastern Palace play. Going to pick up that hookshot as was asked and answered in chat. Meanwhile, going to see Sid take care of Tower of Hera now. So by the end of this little section, we'll have both of our runners with 2 crystals and hopefully just that much closer to Dark World access. As of now, we're lacking a hammer or another mitt. And it would be surprising if after all this, it ended up being Aga required. Sid deciding to route that room quite effectively, getting the beetles to just land in respective holes. You don't have the hammer to one-shot those guys. It's a very nice strat. Yeah, we may see just all 3 Light World cleared in preference to doing Aghanim. I think, honestly, it's a smart play. And to answer chat, the runners, they may or may not have the checklist or a tracker, but they are allowed provided it doesn't automate any part of the process. And that does include, as Zarakian described, a map you can update to mark off your locations you've checked. And our many spins on the Moldorm fight here with the fighter sword. As the music picks up and Sid goes for cave strats, nobody has time to wait for that tail to line up. He finishes it off, very nice. And shoutouts to our tracker, Blast Egg. Keeping things straight. Dsitt gonna pass up all those green rupees. Has quite enough. Gets himself a second bottle. Runner's really evening things out. And it is interesting that to get that lamp, you have to have gone to Eastern, and I guess might be intended to be here first before going up to the mountain, but then needing the lamp to come back here and finish it. So logically speaking, that's a double dip. Sid's gonna get those rocks to move in front of Desert. And the way forward shall be open. Dsitt says, I don't need no lantern, as he works his way around. And must have missed the switch, I guess? Oh no, he's got it. Alright, Sig covering new ground here. We've got a small key. Alright, so he's gonna head on down to the right side of this dungeon. Shielding himself from the Beamos and heading down Cannonball Run to the big key. Alright. I wonder what will be on this torch here. If it's just a dungeon item, then we have everything accessible for our runners before the boots, but we may see some progression locked in here. Dsitt having himself a time in this room just as Sid did. I wonder if he'll have taking the death. Alright, so that's a dungeon item. And I did not see what was on the torch. I was remiss. Oh no, he hadn't checked it. Oh, and a sword upgrade in Desert. Oh wow. And he's gonna pass on clearing this for now. When it's green pendant. We'll see what ends up coming of it. Dsitt's gonna take another crack at this dark room. It is a doozy. Meanwhile, we're getting Nagina's cave. Now, neither of our runners has made a play for Zora. And they're swimming in the money. You can forget turn of phrase. Mirror shield. Defense seed confirmed. Wow. Alright. Sid's gonna flute down and check out the Ice Rod Cave. Math Girl supposing boots at Zora. It would be interesting. Although I think it would still lead us towards Aghanim at that point. We're gonna see Sid line up his fake flipper. Not strictly necessary for the Zora play. And without that Moon Pearl, he's not actually going to be able to check Waterfall Cave. And he's aware of this, but yeah, that fake flipper still being the quickest way to route this in, even when you have the flute. As Dsitt's gonna get a heart refill from his old man. Vanilla heart piece on the Zora ledge. And Sid having to take the vanilla path all the way around, while Dsitt is going to work on that, what he doesn't know to be a lamp here in Paradox Cave, and going to be quite happy to find it. If not a bit frustrated for having to return to Eastern, but being able to is a plus. And the classic love lesson. There's Dsitt's lamp. Alright, Sid's heading to the castle, but, be not too alarmed. I believe he'll do escape before agony. But I then will ultimately end up doing agony at this point. If my, counting has been correct. Yeah, and Zarakian reminding us of the green pendant, which I am surprised that Sid left behind. He had the lamp to light the torches in the back half. But I'll agree with the supposition in chat that probably too long of a trip back to make it actually worth now that he's at the castle. Although with the flute to 6, it's not so bad. On our tracker pointing out that Dsitt apparently forewent Spiral. Thankfully that won't end up costing him anything except for maybe the trip later, if he thinks of it. Yeah, but depending on whether or not Dsitt finishes this dungeon, and what the Lamola's, or what the green pendant leads to, this could be a very, very interesting turn of events. Oh, and Santa's getting beat up a little bit. He's gonna have to be careful. There he goes. And grabbing that moon pearl. Going for the back now, to the dark chest. Just seeing our runners go where the other have already been, and so we know the green pendant is an option that Sydarial did not exercise. We don't know that Dsitt will do it either. But the thinking here is that Sid is likely to do Aga after this. Come on, it was 300 rupees in the dark. Plenty more than he needs at this point in the seed. We're seeing him head upstairs, and he's going to go to Aga 1. He's got his cape to get by the barrier, lacking the boots to get that Master Sword, and we're seeing Dsitt make that Lamola's green pendant play. So, here you go for route divergence. This may very well be an early, heavy tilt in the match. Sid just liberally applying arrows to his foes. As Dsitt puts that hookshot to work quite well. And we know that the Landmos are not going to drop anything because we have a sword upgrade stranded on the torch. And so we're going to have a bit of delayed sort of revelation here, as once Dsitt finishes his Lambo fight, he is gonna flute to 5 and go talk to Sahasrahla. While we have a bit of a time slot to fill, what are your favorite nicknames for Sahasrahla? Oh, an Ice Rod strats. I love it. Every bit as strong as the Fire Rod, just a bit slower on the release. I'm running out of the magic now. And we got a couple votes for Sriracha, Silsa Verde, Sesshomaru. Dsitt continues to work on these landmos, dodging the debris quite well. Sid's in his red guard room. And 5 rupees coming off the stun prize as Dsitt finishes up, picking up a boss burrito off of our land molas, and he's gonna go turn in that green. Night Shamalama Ding Dong. Zerakian, I don't think I can do that one, I'm sorry. Oh, what the heck? Stasha, Frasho, Rama, Dama, Ding Dong, Exbalidocious, I think. But Aghanim now sealing Zelda away into the dark world. Santa's not happy about it. Look at him. He's trying to stop him, but cutscenes, you know. Oh, and we get a slight detour into Gina's cave for the riot shield for Glenn. He is now well protected. So far, no trouble for Sid in this Aghanim fight. I am concerned with Dsitt's routing. Gets the green pendant, doesn't turn it in. Perhaps the only saving grace of this for now would be if this ends up being a pedestal seat, which I suppose our players could have checked at this point. Yeah, Sid just putting this Aga 1 fight away. Was that the first blue ball? I feel like we've been getting a fairly steady rhythm of hit noises from Sid's side. But I've been watching confusedly as Dsitt doesn't turn in this green pendant. We've got Dark World access one way or another here, as Sid finishes up, and we got a map check. We got red on Mire, blue on Turtle Rock 6 at Pod. Oh, and Dsitt taking an unfortunate death, having burned his ferry from before. Yeah, so 2 of our harder dungeons, our medallion dungeons, are pendants. It does not rule them out entirely, but their boss fights are not inherently required for finishing the game. Yeah, and also factoring out the Red King. And Green Knight 5 in chat asking if the cape is part of the logic for getting to Aghanim. It is. It's one of the items that can get you past that lightning lock. And as such, even though it's not in the normal progression of the game, is a fine replacement for the Master Sword in the case, since the Fighter Sword can deflect Aghanim's fire. But yeah, no inherent answers for general Dark World access available from the Pyramid. So we'll see what Pod has to offer. It has been packing in this tournament so far. Alright, let me get the key. Dsitt still going up the agate tower without turning in that green pin. For his sake, I hope it's a pedestal seed. Puts those pots to work on the guards here in the dark ledge room. Yeah, I've seen most of the keys picked up here in Pod, as one of our commentators, Dr. Bob Tastic, likes to put it. This dungeon is business up front and party in the back, and so he calls it Mullet Mansion. I missed what that was. And Eureka, Sydarial is playing as Santa Claus, or Santa. Yeah, he'll turn green on the first upgrade and then purple. And chat letting me know it's just a small key. I should have checked the count, thank you. As he burns the key to get up a stairway to the map. That's a bit salty. We'll see what's here. More keys. Oh boy. Now we'll head into the proper back of Palace of Darkness as Dsitt enters his Aghanim fight. But first, Aghanim has a magic trick. Ah, there we go. Someone was speaking of the mushroom in chat earlier, and I tell you what, this is like the 3rd or 4th seed in the past few days that I've seen a mushroom in Pod. Doesn't necessarily portend anything absolute, but it's interesting at least. And a red rupee, so that's at least 2 of our items. And a sword upgrade in Pod, very nice. And looking down, I missed that second chest, so let me know if it was hype. More keys, oh boy. And having to get around those turtles. Ah, thank you, Strasser. I'll take his lantern into this dark maze as Dsitt annoys Aghanim as he casts his lightning. More red rubies. Yippee-ki-yay. And down goes Aghanim. Both of our runners having entered Dark World by the same means, and our big key in the last possible place it could be. What's in here? A compass. So Pod not paying off as Dsitt takes a long look at his map and really hopes those pendant diamonds aren't required. And a little bit of sync here as our runners both are at this pyramid. Pod had a sword upgrade and the mushroom, so it wasn't totally garbage. And so, with the mirror available, we're going to see a quick check of this. Kind of unfortunate that Dsitt... Oh, no, never mind. I thought he was going to go to Catfish, but I forgot having the hook shot. He's just going to cross the river. And probably put his mirror to work similarly. Prepping that mirror, having to skip on King's Tomb for now. Oh, just a heart piece from the mushroom. And what is in the graveyard ledge? Oh, I'm passing up on a catfish check. Neither player is a big fan of the fish, and there goes the hammer! Oh, man. Now, I really do wonder what Zora has. Or not Zora, we checked Zora, that green pendant. And Sid just opting to get a slightly different setup for this. Gonna in and out here. Not much in the waterfall wishing. Dsitt's gonna use this to head over to the village of Outcast, possibly with a detour through Skull Woods on the way. Only the back half of that dungeon really requiring its item, the fire rod. And the front of it, characteristically full of items lately. It looks like Sid's gonna make a very interesting play to get back into the what do you call it? To get back to his mirror portal and check out this catfish after all. Alright, so far, gonna drop in the Skull Woods. I'm gonna get a catfish check almost simultaneously. Here we go. Oh, 5 rupees from the catfish. That whole section of the map just not paying out today. Light World and Dark World. Yeah, and mind not the bots. Or they can't hear your complaints anyway. But a big key for Dsitt. $50 rupees out of Skull Woods. I think that's our first item so far. So we're gonna get a more traditional look at the big chest here, rather than taking the bomb jump. And Sid is just moments away from finding his hammer. He'll feel a little bit frustrated, but I think he'll mostly just be glad to have it. Frustrated, of course, because he made a dip in the Skullwood or Palace of Darkness just moments ago. Alright, Dsitt making his way to the back of Skull Woods. Gonna work out one more chest. And Sid's gonna raise that hammer high. And that second item may be fire rod locked, but we do have one more location to check if I'm remembering correctly, and Dsitt is working on it. Along with these Gibdos, of course. No boomerangs available to stun the Gibdos. It's a bit unfortunate. And Sid making a very similar play to Dsitt. Oh yeah, and it looks like our second item is going to be behind the firewall, as it were. Oh, dodging those Dactos, very nice. But running into the Moblins and kind of getting himself into a bind. Letting the hookshot get him out. Alright. Dsitt going to take a long walk back through here. Likely head into the village of Outcast, Thieves Town. Whatever suits his fancy. Both of these northwestern dungeons being crystals, and then we'll have to finish them. Alright, and Dsitt just making his bumper cave check. And then heading on back to the village. Alright, treasure chest game. We're gonna get one dud item and then maybe one other dud item. Yup, just a big 20. Of course, hoping for something better there. That second slot, part of our randomizer. And Sid taking a death with the fairy, though. Dsitt also going down. Yikes. Looks like that was in the village. That's unfortunate, I would guess. Alright, and Dsitt deciding he's pretty sure he doesn't want that to happen again. Takes a look in the wallet and says, yeah, I think I can spare. Oh, and getting rid of a surprise guard. How about that? So he'll now make his way back to the Dark World and continue his rounds of the Village of Outcast. And that's right, Marks Mango. He did buy the red potion. I guess supposing that he isn't going to have much need for his magic power with his current loadout. Ice Rod, while an interesting item, and it enables some of my favorite goofier strategies. Not actually terribly useful because of the speed at which it fires, unfortunately. But if you can use it to freeze an enemy and throw him at another enemy, you're doing things right in my book. And Sid gonna outrun that wall master at the last possible moment and get his plate-o nachos out of Skull Woods. Take the death on purpose there to get around a little faster, and here we go into Thieves Town. Dsitt. Alright, early big key, no surprise. Kinda has to be in this dungeon. Now when you watch these runners do this dungeon, the first half, I mean the route is pretty much set in stone, but I know when I was young anyway, this place was certainly a maze to me. Oh, we got Bomberman here. As Glenn's alternate sprite hitting the bunny beam. And Sid's gonna check the Sea House for a big 20. And the other sword upgrade has been found here in Thieves Town, so it is likely that Sid will be getting his Tempered Sword in their midst. That does confirm that Aghanim play was required, which makes me wonder about that green pendant all the more. And that's a sort of vanilla Titan's Myths, of course. I think somebody mentioned this in chat earlier, might have been asking. The hookshot does have an interesting effect when picking up hearts. It's got about a 50-50 chance, from what I understand, of turning it into 2 hearts on the pickup. So, whether Dsitt realizes it or not, smart move going for that with the hookshot. Sid is continuing his way through Thieves Town now, as we said. Gonna pick up his Tempered Sword. Toyso saying it's a 1 in 4. I'll tell you what, I trust him over my own recollection. Hopefully you saw his match yesterday where he put on quite a show. Woot Woot got the pretty much de facto best required sword. I mean, golden's nice, but doesn't do a whole lot by the end of this. And you know, Dr. Bob, I'm not sure, but knowing the way key dashing works and the like every fourth pixel to line up the door, it could be a thing. Giving that Zazak, what for? Just a hook shot to leave him helpless and hurling the giant block at him. Getting a much needed heart pickup here. He had the key already, so item in the chest next to the maiden. He's gonna work his way back over to that big chest. Both of these runners having the hammer. It's not often you get to see a first try full clear of this dungeon anymore. It seems like the hammer is always somewhere after the first Thieves Town check. I think that's all the items. 10 arrows, blue rupee, a sword upgrade, and that's. So all that remains is to expose this maiden as the weird bedsheet monster she is, and to thusly slay and take the crystal. So Sid just following through Dsitt's footsteps as he begins his blind fight, going ham on that first stage. Bedsheet monster, Ruble. I apologize if I did not emphasize the E properly. As the Animaniacs were wont to say, good night, everybody. Deciding green potion worth it. I guess he had a red and a green here. And down goes blind with a very solid. And now we've got a different colored maiden. We'll turn into the same pun-slinging blind. And while the swords were different for this fight, a lot of us do know that blind has a very strange damage table and takes 9 hits regardless. Sid performing quite well in this last very hectic phase. Both of our runners putting that dungeon to bed quite well. Dsitt gonna make his way over to the digging game. Get your guess in the chat how many digs it's gonna take, and maybe a yay or nay if it's gonna be anything good. I'm gonna go 12 and yes. There goes 12, rip me. $21. And well, there it is. Looks like some kind of cane. We got Kana Samari at the digging game. As we know with the pendant distribution, this isn't necessarily required item, but an interesting find nonetheless. Both of our runners basically pretty much sync minus 5 seconds. And we've got Glenn returning his frog friend. Figure this has to be sorry, Dr. Bobtastic throwing me off my game there. That was pretty good. According to the fine print, you find that it is, in fact, required to be cane. But, just a small detour for Dsitt on the frog return. Wants to check those peg caves in the, bootless fashion. Mire is clearable, marks Mango, but it's not actually enterable. We have no medallions. But our blacksmiths give us, just some love. Get a bat check. Here we go. That's a fire rod. Alright. Bat was using it to warm up his suit. Or his soup. So, interesting. We've got all the items for our 2 not required medallion dungeons except for their dungeon, or for their medallions. Yeah, we need medallions first, though. I agree. It seems like a bit of a push towards Mire and Turtle Rock, but without any coins, we can't pay the toll. So let's see what we got. Sid and Dsitt both decide, you know what, let's see what's in that lunchbox. And that's right, Mark's Mango. Still no green pendant turn in. But what are those? Stumpy had the boots. Apology. Trying to get in touch with an admin to take care of this bot problem we're developing, and missed it the first time. But as was pointed out in chat, it's looking like flippers for go mode for Sydarial. And we know that we need the hammer for Dsitt, but we know... Or no, we don't need the hammer, he already has it. I was thinking about the fact that he hadn't gone to pod yet. And that hype cave not really working out. But that Lawset pointing out an interesting point, that by the logic, the flippers are required to get through Swamp and into Ice Palace. And both of those dungeons are notorious for being roundabout in their full clear routing. But in Go mode, equally famous for how quickly they can be completed. And Gary's lunchbox just had a little bit of burger money in it, let's say. Yeah, so we need to Get ourselves some flippers to finish this thing off, and, you know, nobody's checked the pedestal yet. Bombo's not paying off. You're gonna see a Meyer check here, coming from Dsitt. Yeah, maintaining the sync here as Sid follows him into the Dark World via this portal. Oh, very nice dash through there. It's actually pretty, you gotta be pretty quick to get that off and going. And there goes Silver's in the Meyer shed. Alright, this is gonna be shaping up. Dsitt's tempered sword is in pod, to answer chat, and their butter sword is sitting on the torch in desert. Now, I don't know that either of them is going to go for it once they're at Silver's and tempered. But actually, it looks like that's exactly where Dsitt is going now. And so he's going to pick up his tempered sword here, which makes sense because he doesn't know that there's a sword in pod. He's like, well, I want tempered. Master Sword on Ganon is just way too slow. And then Sid actually opting for it as well, saying, you know, when I fight Cold Stare, I don't want to have to worry about my magic meter. Solid plays from both these guys. And shoutouts to our tracker for catching the medallion on Meyer. I, in fact, kind of had it slip my mind knowing they didn't have any medallions yet. Chat getting culinary here, comparing the Ganon fight, saying they'd rather butter their pig, and me, I kind of like bacon wrapped pork chops, but I guess for speed's sake, it's a little quicker to go gold. Yeah, Sid gonna make his way back over here with his mitts to see just what's going on in Super Bunny and Hookshot Cave. Well, Dsitt is going to make his pod play, grabbing a mushroom and a sword upgrade. And Sid's singing us a song of block erasing with that mirror. And we still have our one pedestal dream. There goes Ether, so Meyer is accessible now. Sid's got to be wondering, oh boy, what's T-Rock gonna be? And I'm wondering, if it ends up being Ether, does he go in? And that looked like Bombos to me? But I could be wrong. And chat calling Ether, we'll trust them having the better look at it. And there goes Quake. Dsitt just doing a pod clear that we saw from Sydarial earlier. Having the hammer, he'll be able to complete this. Sid's gonna check for heart drops and then drop into Spike Cave. Hammer down, hook shot out. He's gonna pull his way across these spikes, trying to minimize the amount of damage. And in case you were ever wondering why they don't just cape in the first place, you get your hearts back when you save and quit, but you don't get your magic. And so you'd like to have at least some of by the... Gonna quit out. Alright. What's on Sid's mind? I think maybe a trip to Pod? And at this point, between the screen transitions for the warps and the fluting and everything, having the boots, taking what I would estimate at least is the quicker route by a long shot. And we're gonna have some sync up in the Mullet Mansion. Sid gets his silvers ready to deal with that mimic room. And Dsitt works on his last couple of rooms here. A distinct difference in heart so far. Quite interesting. Dsitt picks up his butter sword here. Got the riot shield, the gold sword, and Green Man. Just a bit odd. Although I suppose you might not notice it if you were looking at Sid's sprite. Bringing you the holiday spirit just as early as your local retail store. I'm glad you guys appreciated that one, but now we're just seeing some dark rooms go by, of course with the lantern. We know what's going on. Very clean turtle room from Sid there. Looks like Dsitt's a bit stuck, but he'll be back soon. As we begin a Helmasaur fight for Sydarial. It's gonna take 17 whacks on this mask to void the warranty. And then one well-aimed silver arrow will put the Helmasaur King to his explosive final rest. But he's gonna go for the gold sword strats, having let go of the spin attack anyway. Not a bad move. Lining up that silver can be a bit hard if the Helmasaur King is feeling rambunctious. And there are the flippers, alright. So as each of our runners makes their way through this, they're gonna enter go mode, and it's gonna be, as much as it ever was, a race to the finish. And so how do you like that? What seemed to be calling for such a trolly outcome in Pendant, Meyer, and T-Rock. Gonna be completely unrequired in this case. We've got the silvers, we've got the boots, we've got the gold sword. The only thing these players are lacking is perhaps a bug net to help fill bottles on the way up the tower. But this is, as one might say, a Stoops jet seat. But indeed, it's still gonna require some execution to get this thing done. As we find Dsitt back in smooth streaming order, and having not lost any frames to the ether here. And both of our runners putting that turtle room down with ease using that gold sword. And chat pointing out some of the convenience items our runners might still stop and check for. So far, Sid having none of it. Passing up the penguin room there. Pengator, that's the name of that enemy. Meanwhile, Dsitt working on that Helmasaur mask, dodging the fireballs, biding his time. Sid with a clever bomb placement to break the floor and activate the switch. Actually, Bob, I had not meant to make that joke. He's saying, oh, to lose frames to the ether would require Myra or T-Rock. But I suppose I tell jokes accidentally at times. I'm gonna see how does Santa handle this bomb jump. Just a bit low that time, I think, if Link's hat is the same height. And I think he has it here. Very nice. Alright, Dsitt grabbing those flippers. He is also in go mode now. This is a race to the finish now. Any death, any misdirection, anything that goes wrong for these players is going to add to their time now. And it's going to have a direct effect on the outcome of this race. Whereas previously, routing went into it a little bit more. Alright, Dsitt gonna opt for a Swamp Palace. Interesting. We discussed earlier that both of these dungeons are significantly shorter in go mode, and the lack of flippers required them to be completed in such state. So Sid gonna make his way into this cold stare fight while Dsitt is still dealing with the dam. Putting that gold sword to work. Oh wow. The absolute quintessential quick kill. He's armed for bear in terms of arrows. Between this fight and the rest of the seed, he's going to be pretty much set, not stopping for much of anything. Yeah, Dsitt just kind of climbing his way down swamp now, and I have a feeling we're going to see Sydarial kind of following behind him, even though he has the lead. Yeah, gonna make that play south, hit the warp, and then head to the front door of the palace and do his mirror thing. Anybody else feel like that rock formation above Swamp Palace is a shout out to the DOS prompt? Looks like a C: to me. I might just spend a little too much time staring at terminals. I'm getting conflicting answers from chat, but I thank you. Bob pointing out it needs more backslash. It's true. That would have been a lot of rocks, though, I guess. Alright, Dsitt just stealing a key from the right side, having the hook shot, and heading his way to the back of this dungeon. Sid hot on his tail in terms of the dungeon and ahead in terms of the crystals. And so the Desert Palace play, all said and done, only yielded the sword of note as far as I'm remembering. And the green pendant not coming to bite either. Although one could consider that Dsitt's choice to kill Ammolas then and not turn in the pendant was ultimately probably the difference in this race. Alright. Down goes Argus. Giving a big 20 for the fun. And the big blue. Dsitt is down to Skull Woods and Ice Palace. Sid is halfway done Swamp Palace and then only requiring Skull Woods. Yeah, the mushroom was already turned in, and if it hadn't been, it most likely would not be. But it was just a either a piece of heart or a full heart container. But in either case, just a contribution to what has been, for Dsitt, a stingy health seed. And he's gonna go ahead and check this island. I don't know if we saw it earlier based on the way things were routed. And it's half magic, interesting. That's gonna let him kinda swing that fire rod more freely in here. An interesting find. Other than that, with gold sword and silvers, I don't know that it'll have an impact on the final Ganon fight. Oh yeah. And you can hear from the sound what you could see only on Dsitt's fight, just how frantically quick that Argus fight can be when you have gold sword. Or really, I guess, tempered or bettered. As he takes him down with the utmost of ease. Yeah, we'll see. The half magic, in fact, may come up in the gauntlet, Chad is pointing out. And depending on our runner strategies, it may even make the difference. Alright, and Dsitt nailing that same clever bomb placement to make the drop in Ice Palace as Sid heads north to the portal into the Dark World to finish off Skull Woods, both of our runners having chosen to clear this out earlier. According to my sheet, it did not have anything worth, but I may have missed it. Alright, let's see Glenn do this bomb jump. Oh. There we go, Dsitt getting his bomb jump then. Saving a tremendous amount of time in this, a very roundabout dungeon. While Sid picks up the needed key here, doesn't want to gamble on that chest. And I don't blame him, especially when you know right where one is. So into the back of Skull Woods he goes, as down go the Pengators. Oh, and Sid having to watch his step over that gap skip. And actually, I suppose the half magic may come into effect during the Malthael fight, too. Allowing Dsitt to have the opportunity to cast more range attacks on his foe, while Sid is going to have just a bit less than half magic as he goes in, and even opting not to go for the pickup just to bait Wallmaster out. Depending on just how quickly Sid handles this boss fight, we'll have simultaneous boss fights going on. Getting pretty decent choices from the randomization on which traps move. Finishing that off for Malthiel's Boss Burrito. Oh, and Dsitt just going a little early on that spin attack. Having at just before the Cold Stare Puffs became vulnerable. Putting that half magic to use to activate his cape. Now out of it, but just one more hit, I think, to end this Cold Stare fight for him. Alright. And no pedestal check today. We don't need it. We've got our first runner with 7 crystals, and a lot of you know what that means. It is time to get your numbers in the chat. There's a big key in Ganon's Tower. Where is it? Numbers 1 through 22, or if you have a favorite spot by name. Doc Bob going with what might be his namesake. Me, I'm an 11 guy. Second chest in the rando room on the left side. And just to sweeten the pot, the prize today is whatever's on pedestal. So it'll be a mystery until we see the credits. You'll have to stick around. Alright, yeah, we're seeing numbers quite all over the place and a couple of names. A couple of wishing for the 22, which in the usual routing means the tile room. Nobody wants to check that. Now I gotta imagine Sid's feeling pretty good about his progress in this run, but at the same time knows that, well, his opponent has the same seed, and so he probably knows that Dsitt is not far behind. And having the key he needs already can even skip that, just that little dip to the top corner of this room. Oh, but he's gonna go for it anyway. That's actually gonna net him some extra time not having to kill a Gibdo later, I guess. Good on him. I wasn't quite thinking that through myself. Alright, Dsitt dashing into Skullwoods at the same time Sid is going down the stairs in Ganon's Tower. We got arrow upgrade, a small key, and we're gonna see that right side play. But he's gonna skip over this tile room because who needs it? Dsitt showing off a bit of a, what some might consider a bug in the way this game calculates height, dashing through a Wallmaster that was conceivably high in the air. But yeah, putting that extra key to work there, not having to bother with that room. Taking one last Wallmaster to his doom. Sid refills his magic with a good drop. We got Moth Fight for Dsitt. And there goes a big key. Oh my. So that was 1, 2, 5, I guess. And he'll take a key so he can go upstairs. And yeah, so Kane required after all. Down goes Malthiel. Alright, and so we're gonna see Dsitt a few minutes behind Sid here. It's still certainly not out of this pending execution here in the ascent of Ganon's Tower. Getting trolled by the skulls. And then taking down that Goriah. That's right, 8 resolution. It, in fact, has got to be Kane. As Dr. Bob so indicated after reading the fine print. Sydarial eschewing the safety room, not having much need for it. And he's beginning his gauntlet around 1:30:15. Oh, and having a bit of trouble with the conveyors there, but for the most part, cleaning up this gauntlet, putting that gold sword to work. Ooh. Alright, last room of the gauntlet. With an errant arrow. Not bad. Going into Lambo 2. Dsitt hoping to find some mail, I guess. Putting silvers to work on these Lammolas. Opting for sword now, and I can't blame him. When we've got that gold sword, it does help out this fight. Dsitt charges through the Lionels, makes his way to the front door of Ganon's tower. On. Solid shot from the King of Samaria to take care of those Wizrobes. I will say it is a thing you don't often see, that those Wizrobe rooms are done without at least an attempt at the... And just decimating the collapsing bridge in this case. And we'll see if Dsitt makes what turns out to be the intelligent choice here. Or rather, maybe we say inspired. And he is going to go for it. Just a bit of a mishap lining up the block. So we're going to see him in short order head up this tower. Rightly skipping tile room. Sid having to kill those helmets for the key. And into Moldorm 2. Alright. With a gold sword, this is not going to be a game changer. So Dsitt, having picked up his big key now, gonna get one from under the pot here and head on up. Sid dashes his way into the penultimate room of Ganon's tower. Alright, let's get another blue ball count. Oh, and a double on the first. That's our first blue ball and a clean miss on that round. Single, so we're 3 hits, 3 more to go. 1 blue ball. Oh, and just getting a bit trolled with positioning there. Not quite having enough room to safely slash that sword, and only realizing it too late. 4 hits. 5 and 6. Down goes Aga 2. Dsitt just making his way across the Cannonball Bridge, starting his gauntlet about 4.5 minutes after Sydarial did. So there's the gap, and likely this will take a catastrophe for Sid to lose at this point. Give him his last hit in there for good measure. And he's going to want to save that magic for the 4th phase. So we're already into phase 3. Just waiting out the teleports, making sure he gets that hit in before the jump because nobody has time for bats. Arrows in Dark World, in fact, at the Mire Shed. As Dsitt is taking care of Land Mode 2. Oh, and just sneaking out of the double was Ganon. We're down to 1 more hit. Your GG's ready in chat. There we go. Sydarial wins this race. GG to him. Get him into the Triforce room before we get our time. Always time for a drop after all. But no. Sydarial finishing in first place with an SRL time of 1 hour, 36 minutes, and 25 seconds. Talk about a speed run. Meanwhile, Dsitt in the Firebar Torch Room, his ascent. And now we've just got last bit of this tower for Dsitt. Gonna remember that key, otherwise he'll be coming back for it. And we're gonna bring in our winner, Sydarial. In just a moment. Remember to keep an eye out for that pedestal in the credits. That was our Ganon's Key guest prize. Sydarial.
Hello.
GG.
GG.
That was quite the fast run. You really took it to it.
Well, it didn't have to dip into any pendant dungeons, and seeing the pendant Turtle Rock and pendant Mire.
Yeah, it was almost a blessing to not have the medallions, huh?
Yep.
Yeah, and how about that? We were all a bit concerned you didn't choose to finish Desert Palace, but that ended up paying off.
Yeah, I was gambling on it when at that point all I needed was the flippers for go mode. I'm like, it could be on the pedestal. It probably isn't at that point.
Right.
So I was gonna go pod, and if it didn't hold it, I was just gonna fake flipper ice, go mode that, go back to Skull, and then Skull Woods, and then see if the pedestal was in fact flippers.
Right.
So then once
I mean,
had the flippers,
that would have been as wise a route as you would have had to take in that case. But of course, even getting a sort of peace of mind off of that, getting the flippers off of the Helmassar King.
Yeah, that was really nice. I was kind of worried early when I was like, okay, I didn't want to do escape at that point. Then seeing Moon Pearl, I was like, is the Waterfall Fairy going to have Dark World access, and then my Aghanim play is useless?
Right, yeah. We were wondering about that for the green pendant, which neither of you turned in, although Dsitt probably putting the difference in this race by finishing Landmo and then going to Aghanim without turning in the pendant, which, I mean, we know that it wasn't going to be necessary for the run, so in retrospect was only going to be a bigger time sink, but just an interesting play on his part.
Yeah.
Now, how glad were you that you did the digging game?
I was like, well, I might as well just check and see, because at the point I was like, don't need flippers, so just keep checking, and I was like, okay. Now it opens up possibly Mire and Turtle Rock, but I had no medallions at that point, so
right.
Okay. Then seeing the ether at Super Bunny Cave, and then seeing both of them need ether, I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah, it ended up being pretty interesting though to see that key on the right side then in Ganon's tower. So it's just like, oh man, skip the digging game, and all of a sudden, where is it? Oh god.
Yeah, that's nice to know that the digging game was in fact worth it.
Yeah. And so your opponent has just started his Ganon fight.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean this was just an absolute I don't even know what to call it. It was just a beeline, I guess. Right through the seed.
It pretty much was. Also was a very rich seed, because I think I got all the 300s that's possible, like really early too.
Yeah, it was something wild like 1,200 rupees before a crystal, like 10 minutes in or something. So we're like, oh, surely Zora has absolutely nothing. It's like, he never does.
Yeah, and then all he has was a whole heart container.
Yeah. But any other thoughts on the seed?
Not really. It was nice to have not a troll seed like most of the other ones have been.
Yeah, pretty much the only like really bad part about this one was Aga won, but at least it wasn't terribly ambiguous about it.
No, as soon as I saw the cape, I was like, okay, this is possibly...
Dsitt takes a fall to Ganon. Sorry to interrupt. Yeah. But so, as soon as you saw the cape, you were saying... Yeah.
It gives me that worry, and then I was like, okay, well, I have a lot of overworld to check, especially after I got the hook shot in Eastern. I was like, oh, more overworld.
Yeah. It's like, hey, I can go to the mountain and then get the lamp.
I was debating on going back into Eastern for the gold sword, but I'm like, well, I still have Cold Stare and I still have Ganon, and it's right at the start of it, so I just might as well spend the extra 15-20 seconds, get it,
definitely.
and use it.
Yeah, and I think, oh yeah, you had the, basically the perfect quick kill on Cold Stare, so I'd say that, gold sword pickup was worth it, for sure.
Oh, it saved its time.
Definitely.
Especially Green Tunic.
Yeah, that was about the only, scarce thing in this seed. The half magic turned out to be on the Lake Hylia Island, and Dsitt did pick that up.
So I never checked Hobo, because at that point all I needed was flippers, so he couldn't be there, so...
Right, yeah.
I'm like, well, there goes the island and Hobo.
Yeah. And I think mostly Dsitt was looking around for extra mail, but certainly welcomed the, Fire Rod, which he ended up putting to liberal use on Mothula.
Yeah, that's what you gotta do.
Oh, and Dsitt takes another fall, man. That's a bummer. Must be feeling the nerves after this.
Yeah.
Because it's worth noting that you have avoided certain elimination by getting this win.
Yep.
You have the chance to keep going, so congrats on that.
Yep, thank you.
And, well, I think it was your opponent was asking for the, pedestal seed before the race, wasn't he?
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, okay.
This ended up being anything but, as you said, not actually requiring any of the pendants.
Oh, it didn't.
Yeah. And I guess we did end up seeing on your side, Turtle Rock being also ether.
Yeah.
Yeah. 4 bonks, pretty nice. Checking your credits now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many was it? 4?
4, yeah.
I think I had like 2 back-to-back, like, going somewhere.
Yeah. And only 1 death, and I think it was a death warp.
I had, I think, 2 deaths. Well, I had 1 with the fairy, both in Skullwoods.
Right, yeah.
I forgot about the fairy.
Still, really, really solid run altogether.
Yep, I didn't feel like I played anything badly.
No, and I can't think of a thing that you really did wrong with it. Took everything the place that you ought to go. Of course, the instant play to pod after finishing Aghanim, not quite working out immediately, but you know, it's the percentage play though. You got 5 items in there, and if you got the bow, you can get the all but potentially 1. It just turned out that the main progression one was hidden on the boss.
Yeah,
but Dsitt does get his Ganon down. And he's got a time of 1:45.04. This fall's kind of laying in. So GG to him.
Yeah, at that point it was a crystal dungeon, and might as well check it. And of course, like all the keys and the map and compass were front pod, so everything was back pod and Helmasaur.
Right, yeah. And then the mushroom, seeing that in pod for the millionth time, I was wondering if that was going to be progression, and then just turned out nothing. But you were saying,
yeah, I was like, I watched the previous race there, Andy, and that I'm like, well, a couple people got burned by not turning in the mushroom.
Right.
I'm not looking at Easter, so I'm just like, yeah, might as well check it. Don't get caught in the same spot they did.
Yeah, and I'm going to bring Dsitt in now. Dsitt.
Howdy.
GG, tough break on the Ganon fight.
You know what? Even with those 2 falls, that was still an open mode PB for me by 2 minutes.
Oh, wow.
GG.
Well, congrats.
GG.
Yeah, I mean, both of you guys really putting this thing to bed pretty quickly, doing everything you had to do with the logic and just getting it done, so.
Yeah, everything just came out right. Wasn't very healthy seed, but, I mean, what can you do?
We've been seeing those lately. A lot of, depending on the way you go, ending up with just 1 row of hearts by the end of it.
You only had 1 row?
Yeah, and you had, I think, Sid, you finished with it was something like 14.
Yeah.
I had 11. I had 11, so I was
you did
bro.
Yeah.
But yeah. Not having to go into Mire or T-Rock and then go moding both Swamp and Ice Palace was like really nice.
Oh, definitely, and yeah, somebody in chat pointed out that because of that flipper placement too, it was basically almost a required go mode Swamp and Ice. Like you couldn't even make those mistakes. That was great.
Right.
The only way is if you got the hammer early and then went back to pod and finished it, and we're still searching for the fire rod.
Yeah.
Which, Batman. It's one of the few times he's been useful.
Yeah. He's one of the spots in the game, and it's easy to forget about. Him and the dark escape chest came up big in a match the other night. Just, every now and then, random's gonna come out with something like that.
Mm-hmm. That's rando.
Yep. So, any particular other thoughts on the seed Dsitt?
Not really. Other than the fact that yeah, it was nice to find Mirror Shield and swords early. Blue Tunic would have helped a lot, but we didn't really need it. So
yeah, getting that gold sword, and you guys both opted for that play back in the desert for swords. And at that time, Dsitt, you had not gone to pod, so it was definitely like a for sure play for you because you wanted that temper.
Right.
And then Sid opting, hey, this will be gold for me, and explaining earlier that it would help on Cold Stare, and it certainly did.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, both of you guys coming in with most of your armory to bear.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for the run, and chat, give these guys a follow. We got Dsitt7 and Sydarial putting on an awesome show. And unfortunately, Dsitt hitting the 04 mark, gonna maybe get in the way of somebody else's progression chances. But other than that, a shame to any other racer on this, and I'd say you'd have a really fair chance. It just happened to be the way this one shook out.
Yeah. At 04, there's not a whole lot for me to do other than play 2 more weeks of rando. But This whole time I've had school just kind of dump a load on me, so I think I'm going to go ahead and drop. But just focus on that.
Yeah.
But I'll definitely be trying to get into the tournament in the spring if it happens again.
Oh, for sure. And if you keep this up, I think you'll be doing even better by then.
Right. And I just want to thank everybody for the chance to, I guess, host the Open, and just lucky I qualified, and just thank everybody who puts so many hours and time into this.
Yep, same here.
And thank you guys, because obviously it's your practice and your willingness to kind of put this out there for people to enjoy too, that, there would be no tournament without that. But just want to remark again what a great community we have here. You probably heard about it in race after race, but it's just because it's so true.
Absolutely.
And shout outs to Feasel. We're pretty sure he doesn't sleep.
Yeah, I definitely want to give Feasible as many virtual hugs as I can.
Yeah.
Just across speed gaming. I've been enjoying a lot of the other tournaments that's been going on.
Right, if you're not running, you're watching, and for me, if I'm not up here on the mic or restreaming, I'm in the chat, and it's so much fun to watch and to hang out with everybody here. So thanks to Feasel, we got Mythical, gosh, so many people we could name. And then we've got our secondary tournament going on, mostly on our Randomizer Mania channels. Randomizer Mania, and then 2, 3, and 4, along with Speed Gaming 2, 3, and 4 for the main tournament. And just if you want to watch some Link to the Past rando, pretty much any time from noon Eastern to midnight Eastern, you've got something going on for you. But thank you guys again for joining me. And as I say, follow these guys. Shout outs to our tracker Blast Egg. Check him out. He did a fantastic job with this race. You guys burned through it. I think we're gonna call it here. You guys, any final words before we go?
Nope, just best of luck and spiking the rest of it, and then spiking the whatchamacallit, the wild card race.
That's all I can do. 1 has to get me 2, and 2 has to get me 3.
Yep.
So, shout outs to Epi here commentating. Make sure you give him a follow.
Oh, thanks.
Since you don't have a co-commentator to do that.
That's alright.
Oh, you didn't? Alright, yeah. Definitely good job.
Unless there was one that...
no, it's a ton of fun. And thanks for chat for pointing out some of the things I missed, and also the tracker for being on point on that. We had a lot of fun watching you guys. But Sid, good luck with your forthcoming matches. Dsitt, keep having fun with it.
Absolutely.
And good luck with school, some good real life stuff there.
Yep.
And we're going to close this thing out. I've been Epibliticus for everybody here at Speed Gaming. Stick around at 10:30 on Speed Gaming 2. We got some more rando for you. Looks like at 11 o'clock on Speed Gaming proper, we've got another rando match for you. So still more to play. And good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.